Hello, beautiful women within the temple group, and welcome the YouTube followers. Dominika here, and today I come to you with another very important message from Yeshua, and it is also related to the surrender of control. And the reason why I am sharing this the way it came through today is to make more people aware of what is happening within our personal matrix just when we are about to reach home, meaning that moment of the union with God, the reunion, the moment when we are returning back home to the wholeness, when we are able to completely surrender any control because we finally realized that it was only creating a prison for us within our personal lives, and what will be happening within your external matrix. So it's a very, very important broadcast because it will give you a guideline on how to react or how not to react to certain things that will be showing up within your reality. But before I start, I just wanted to give you two updates. The first one is that I possibly will be closing the group, the temple. And why is that? It's not that I don't want to run this group or that I don't enjoy it. But with the increasing number of messages that I am receiving for the collective and the different social media accounts that I have, I feel that it will be better for me to move all the broadcasts into my main Facebook account so more people can see it, so it can be reached by men as well, wider audience. And I will still be very much dedicated to the work with the Divine Feminine, and all my services are exactly the same. They are not changing. The international retreats for women will be still available. I will definitely make a more detailed post about this change. Everything will stay the same apart from me committing more to one space where I can feel my energy being more centered, and in the same time I can reach more people, because right now I'm just jumping in between a few different platforms, and I feel my energy is not really concentrated as much as I would like it to be. So I will make a post about that, and as I said, nothing is really changing apart from the fact that you, if you want to continue following me, the messages, the broadcasts that I'm doing, they will be available on my main Facebook account. That's the only thing that will change. And secondly, I wanted to share with you that I observe. I'm not sure if you noticed that as well, but I am observing how the messages from Jesus, Yeshua, are coming stronger and stronger through many channelers that, for example, before never worked directly with him. There is definitely a massive callback home that comes through his frequency, that comes through his energy, and it is truly, truly beautiful. And I just wanted to share with you that I opened this 30 minutes walking with Yeshua donation-based sessions for you. And I opened this because it was just calling and I didn't know what to expect. But I just wanted to say that those of you who came to those sessions, the way he comes through individually for you is simply just so beautiful and so loving. Yesterday, I had a client who she was going through a massive resistance of releasing control, and she came to actually one of my personal sessions, normal sessions for womb healing, and we were at that stage where we supposed to initiate the unison within her sacred womb space. And the initiation of the unison within the womb space is a very profound, very sacred activation that once it's done, it will bring into your life a lot of changes. There will be a lot of things that will have to change, shift. But it's being done, and the way Hathor gave it to me, to allow women who are so used to in being in the masculine energy, not feeling safe and feeling unsafe and untrust, and they are not trusting that they will be provided by the inner masculine, that when we are doing those unisons within the womb space, when they are meeting their divine masculine, they are finally feeling on a very deep emotional, physical level that they were never alone, that the separation between those two, the feminine and masculine, never actually happened. And we had that session planned with my client yesterday, and we were about to start the initiation of the unison within her womb. And suddenly she opened up and she shared with me how much she's struggling to actually release the control around safety, around money, which was something that we discussed this past week, and she didn't see those videos. So we start going through the knowledge that Yeshua gave me most recently about surrendering that to him. So I started this process with her yesterday, but then Yeshua came through, and he came into the session and he spoke through me to her. So when I allow the trance channeling happen, I can feel the energy, and his energy is just the most calming, peaceful, loving, yet grounded, strong, masculine you can ever possibly imagine. And he started talking to my client about the fear, how much it was really destroying her life. And very slowly she started to crumble down, like she started to release this resistance, and there was just so much tears. The way he helped her to release that fear of not being safe, not being held, not being supported, provided for, that so many of us have because of the experiences we had in a childhood, because of the information that we inherited from the lineage. It was just simply mind-blowing to witness and feel this process happening through the screen of my laptop. And he just, with the power within him, but also this amazing ease, he helped her to surrender, and she did it. And after that, we had a beautiful unison initiation, and she was just so overwhelmed, and she was crying, and she said after the session that for the first time I don't feel I am alone, and I finally know, and I see, and I witnessed my inner provider, my inner divine masculine, and it was really, really beautiful. And there must be something really big happening in the collective, because those surrenders are being really, really triggered. We are being asked to fully surrender, not just certain things, but like everything. And I said very briefly in one of my recent broadcasts that there is something that is coming for the collective where we will be really walking through the bridge that is made only out of faith and trust. And wherever I look, I see very similar messages coming through. And I believe that this is really very much connected to the fact that the timelines have locked, and we are at the verge of just making those last choices, which master truly we are serving, and which reality we really want to stay in. Whether we want to stay within the old order or the new order, whether we want to move forward in this full surrender to God, in the oneness with God, or we want to be kept hostages by the ego, by the enemy, by whatever else there is within the invisible. And the reason why I also decided to follow up on on the message that Yeshua gave me today about what will be happening within your matrix when you fully surrender to me, is because a lot of other people, clients that came recently to me, everyone came with something really, really extremely difficult on the outside. For example, a lot of court cases that the person is not really guilty, but the situation seems to be so difficult that it seems to be impossible to see any way out of it. I am having clients who are coming to me with extremely difficult family situations where there is such a big tense conflict that, again, you know, families are, you know, falling apart. Couples are fighting for children. Children are being taken away from parents. Extremely difficult, very emotionally triggering, upsetting situations. Now, when I start asking why is it, you know, on such a rise just now, the spirits told me that as we are moving and shifting into this higher frequency reality, as we are shifting our consciousness, as our bodies are getting ready to hold more light, we are now on a massive scale are releasing everything that was left within the ancestral lines, and it comes in a form, you know, of like a massive wipeout. That's why the justice system is so hugely involved as a symbol, literally as a symbol of justice. The other reason why I believe it's also happening is because with our egos being so stubborn very often, and we being programmed that we can control everything, that we can sort things out on our own, that we not maybe that we don't need God in our life, but we are not used to having God in our life. We are not used to asking for help, or we are not used to trusting that we can be helped for many different reasons. Now, the reason why it is also happening, as I said, is to really bring us closer to God, through those situations that are literally putting us down on our knees. When we just don't know, our mental space cannot come up with any solution, meaning it cannot control it anymore, and we are being forced into this surrender. And I wouldn't advise to try to fight and solve any difficult situations like that by yourself. Rather try to see it for what it truly is. And that brings me to the topic of what is happening within our matrix, within our reality, when we are about to reach home. And a lot of quantum physics teachers, mentors, personal mentors, they will often say that before the breakthrough there is a massive breakdown, right? Or that when you want to quantum leap, there will be a short period of time where your old matrix simply needs to fall apart. And this is very much true. But what we need to acknowledge in this particular situation, that is not just some quantum leaping into a higher timeline, into a different timeline. This is something that will be very much now visible in our personal lives and in the collective reality within the politics, governments, banks, and other institutions. So we are at the verge of the old matrix starting to collapse. And when we are finally being brought to this moment of fully surrendering to God and releasing the whole control, the enemy, the ego, the devil, however we call it, on individual, collective level, knows that this is a complete end. because God will always welcome all his children home. And Jesus, once he's allowed the whole control in your life, it will reshuffle this way that the path to the old ways will be closed. The path to the old you will be closed, because he can transform you on such a deep cellular levels. And I experienced that it is impossible to go back and be who you've been in the past. And especially with the full surrender, because the full surrender ultimately means that we are going back home, that we are stepping into union with God, that we are stepping into reality that is the truth, that is not the corrupted matrix, that is not the controlled, manipulated reality that we unknowingly have been recreating through the programming, where we've been serving as a life force batteries for those who wanted to keep the control over us, right? So when there is the risk that one battery will be lost, or a group of batteries will be lost, or a huge number of batteries will be lost, the enemy will start to play out within your external reality the most fearful scenarios that you could possibly imagine. It will simply pull out all your insecurities, all your fears, and it will create scenes, events, experiences in your external reality to make you go back to this control, to this fear, and try to sort things out your own way. Or, for example, when you are being trusted with money, when you are being asked to surrender the control over money, when you are being asked to simply completely let go of wondering how the money will come to you and allow yourself to be provided by God, something that we discussed, right? So when this is at risk, that, you know, the biggest fear, because the fear of safety is the biggest fear within the collective. When that is at stake, of being lost, and we won't be able to be controlled, they won't be able to control us through it anymore, that's when they will start to create all those dark things to make you stop from going back home, going back to the truth, feeling ultimate safety within you, knowing that you are always provided, that everything that you believed in the past, all those illusions that you allowed to play out in your reality, were just simply illusions being played out by your mind, by the error in your mind. And the reason why I really strongly felt today to share this information with you is because when I tune in with Yeshua, I feel almost like what he feels, and he's navigating navigating me through this feeling. And what I was feeling, it was like a lot of people actually being in a great distress, not realizing that maybe there are some really difficult situations are happening, and they are reacting with fear because they believe what is happening, and therefore they're falling back into bigger fear instead of realizing that this is simply an old thing falling apart, and we should not even react to it. We should stay still and just keep surrendering everything to God. Keep surrendering and stay at peace. The stillness that is being mentioned in the Bible as well, and just stay in that faith and trust. So when I was tuning, I could feel sadness, and I could feel upset, and I could feel the feeling of being lost, hopeless. So what he wants to say today to all of you who potentially feel like that, where you no longer know whether you should trust that things will be handled by God, where you no longer know whether you actually will be held and provided and safe, and you are starting to kind of, losing that balance. He's coming in to remind you to take a deep breath in. And he's coming to remind you that he sees you all. And there is no one forgotten. There's no one that will be missed. Everyone will receive the help and the support after the full surrender. There is no soul that has been abandoned. The moment you are choosing that the fear will no longer have any control over you, that you are choosing the truth, and you're choosing to trust, regardless of how bad it may look like. And he specifically said, it may actually look really, really bad. But that is not happening to pull you down. It is to strengthen your faith. It is to strengthen our relationship. Yes, this is the Peter walking on the water and then going under the water. And Jesus grabbing his hand, asking him, why did you doubt? And Peter responds, do never let go of me again. Or something like that. I watched the Chosen series, and it's just so beautiful the way it's been shown. Those moments, our ego, the enemy, will try to convince us that God abandoned us. See, you surrender it all. And see what you have done. There's no God here standing, helping you. And the ego will try to be very, very convincing. You've been left out in a cold again. And Jesus is coming with this message, as I said, to remind you that He is always next to you. He never abandoned us. There is this moment as well, or maybe not moment, but there is this feeling in those moments, almost like we suddenly just can't hear God, or we feel like God is actually not there, but He of course is. But those moments when we suddenly feel like we are being left alone, this is the test. Because God doesn't want to influence us, we are still having the free will choice. And God will not save us by saying, no, 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 come this way. Because God trusts in His children. So those moments of those turbulent events, those towers crashing down in your life, those weird scenarios playing themselves out, do not be afraid of them, regardless of how difficult it may look on the outside. Stay still and breathe, knowing that God never left you. It's just a transition phase. It's just a transition phase. And this is the bridge that I was mentioning to you, that we will have to walk through, that is being made only of our trust and oneness and commitment. And when those topics are coming and cycling around, and they've been cycling around for a good few months, if not at least the last year, I know that we are being really prepared for something really big. It is no longer just a spiritual teaching talk. This is not just a broadcast that is aiming to give you, some interesting facts, or remind you about things from the Bible, or remind you that, this is what is happening within the quantum field when we want to jump the timelines. Just so you know. Because it's an interesting fact. But it is being given over and over and over and over to us because this is the way of living in the new paradigm without the control. And the new paradigm already is. But to step into that paradigm, we need to release everything, all those court cases, justice system, and everything else that is now swirling like in a whirlpool, and we don't know what's going on. We need to release all of that, but we can release it through the surrender. We are not alone with it. When I had one of my clients with also a very difficult court case, Jesus said to me, tell him to give me the impossible. And I mentioned that before. Whatever impossible issue you feel like you are dealing with, you surrender. But yesterday also, when I was on a call with a beautiful lady, there was also this message coming, you know, you need to surrender, you need to stop. There is a chaos in your mind. Your energy is going everywhere, in all directions. And she's saying, but I'm trying to surrender. And I said, God, take this and take that. God, I don't want to deal with this. God, I'm surrendering that to you. And I said, yeah, but there is something you are missing. Because what is this true surrender? And I've been missing that point for such a long time as well. The full surrender, truly on the energetic level, starts when you start to feel at peace inside after giving everything to God. When you are saying to God, God, take and please take care of it. And you know that it is being taken care of. And you feel no need through this big trust to even think about it anymore, because why would you? You just gave it to God. And even if there is a lesson I shall learn through this experience, God will direct me to it. But when you say you surrender, and then 2 hours later, you are still in worry and you are still in fear, and you are wondering whether it's going to be done, or maybe you are wondering how it's going to be done, or is it going to be done the way you are expecting. So you haven't surrendered. You are still being controlled by fear. You have expectations towards the final outcome. You still have thoughts about how am I going to do myself. This is not surrender. And because of that, for example, I kept myself looping in the same cycle, not knowing what I was doing wrong. My mind could not completely let go of wondering, how is it going to be done? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And when I started to practice the surrender more and more through connecting on a more deeper level to Yeshua, I realized what was wrong. What was wrong was that, well, first of all, I was this kind of person that always could only count on herself. And I wasn't used to being helped. I wasn't used to trusting people with my own life. And the moment when I was asked to fully surrender everything, which was a cycle, big cycle that I was also completing in my life, I thought I surrendered, but I really didn't. Because the amount of fear I was dealing with my whole life was just so big, and the connection to Christ wasn't developed enough in order to pass on everything to Him and fully relax in my surrender. So when I realized that there is more fear in my being than the Christ, I knew that I'm not surprised that I so-called failed. There is no failures because it was still a learning process. But it made me realize that I can only walk through this bridge when I have enough faith and trust in me. And that's what he also said yesterday when I was with my clients to her. You know, we are so hooked up and so overwhelmed with everything that we can do ourselves, manifest, jump those timelines and things like that. But the word God or the universe has been so simplified that it has lost its essence. And very often, even though we have the knowledge, there is not enough this connection, this deep, profound connection. And after all, this is the most important aspect of the whole awakening, of our healing. We can't go back home when we do not have strong relationship with God. So when I realized with my own surrender that I was surrendering, but I was staying in fear, and then when I was studying the Course in Miracles, and in Course in Miracles, Jesus is teaching that when you are in fear, I can't do anything. I can't perform a miracle when you are in fear. There is no space for the miracle. You need to fully surrender and be at peace and let me alter the time and space for you. So the very big wish for all of us is to create and work on this trust and work on this faith. So when the matrix is crumbling down, a single tiny needle will not come in between you and your trust in God, your faith in God. That's where we need to be. That's what we need to recreate within us, what we need to rebuild. Stop focusing so much on being so independent in our manifesting skills, healing skills, and God knows what else. We need to bring that oneness, this unshakable trust within us right now, because things will be crumbling down. And in those moments when we don't have that bridge, when we don't have the materials to build that bridge from, we're not gonna cross. We are not going to cross. I would love to hear. I really would love to hear, and I feel very, very strongly guided to say this, to propose this. I would love to hear whether you feel that you would love to improve your trust and faith in God. I would love to hear from you whether you feel like you miss Him or miss this relationship in your life. Whether you feel like you are scared of this trust. Whether you feel like you really want to, but there is still something holding you back. The illusion. I would love to hear where you are at. And you can either make a comment underneath this post, or you can send me a personal message. I would love to hear whether you would like to meet like in a group settings on Zoom and do a profound, maybe like a very intimate but very profound group meetings where we would invite the consciousness of Yeshua, where He could speak directly to you, where you could openly in a very safe environment share what do you feel is taking that ability from you to fully trust Him. I really would love to hear whether you simply feel like you want to trust again, but you just don't know how. And I will be very, very happy to open like maybe once a week a Zoom call space where we could even on a weekly basis start reclaiming this faith and this trust. So let me know. I would love to hear from you. And for those who are right now struggling, if there is something difficult that is happening in your life, please try to stay still. If you feel like you would like to meet one-on-one and receive the guidance from Yeshua directly, the link is in a group. I'm going to repost it under this video again, and you can book the donation-based 30 minutes meeting with me. And I am thanking everyone who already had those meetings, and thank you for your donations. And I am very happy to offer that, because one meeting with Jay can definitely shift so much for you, and he is the miracle worker. I'm sending you all a lot of love. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you very, very soon.